Hi everyone, I am Kim Durbin. I am here with Rick Durbin. He is owner, managing member of Silver Pine Wealth Management. When asked about the leadership beignet and who I wanted to interview, I couldn't think of anybody better to interview than him. So with that said, Rick, how many people do you have reporting to you at Silver Pine Wealth Management?
Well, we have a total of 4 employees, and with that said, those are internal, direct on staff, but we also outsource a significant number of activities, and so total we have about 100 employees outsourced in addition to the 4 that we have on staff.
Very nice. So, learning about leadership, learning lots of different things.
Mhm.
Tell me what successful leadership means to you.
That's a really good question. I define success as servitude. So we have a large group of clients that we serve, and with that said, and also our employees that we serve, and so having the opportunity to lift our employees up internally and help them grow and succeed, to me, is success. But also having the ability to sit down with our clients and help them with their short-term and long-term financial goals and walk them through seasons in life is also what I would consider success.
Very nice. So I'm learning about several different theories
Okay.
in class, and one of them is the world phenomenon, and that theory basically states if everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not okay right now, then it must not be the end. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a really interesting concept. So everything will be okay in the end, if I understood you correctly. And so since everything's not okay, it's not the end, right? Well, in our industry, in our firm, as I mentioned before, we walk through clients through seasons in life. We walk with our clients through seasons in life, and as you know, we've walked through the birth of children, the birth of grandchildren, the loss of loved ones, through once again, we've gone through the beginning and the end. Seasons of life, although I'm not that old, of course. It's just that that's the nature of our relationships. So I would say that in the end, it's going to be okay regardless, right? Depending on where we're at spiritually, and but once again, if it's not, then in the end, who cares? it just is what it is. And do I believe that? I believe that the end could be any day for any one of us, and I believe human nature is that we create our own chaos. So I don't know from that aspect that it will ever be the end as far as everything being okay from a worldly perspective, because of the chaos that we create. But when it's the end, and it'll be okay, I guess, at that point, right?
Well said.
Okay.
So looking at mission statements, lots of companies have mission statements. We have a mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies have a habit, though, of setting a mission statement and then it's set and forget, and they never reevaluate that as they grow and things change. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it needs to be reevaluated?
I do. I truly believe, and we've obviously reevaluated and modified our mission statement over the years, and I think that ultimately the foundation is the foundation, and the mission statement should guide the direction of the corporation and help lead in all decision making. But once again, things change, and it could be just a simple pivot with the services or the products that a company's offer that may require a modification. But to forget it, I think, would be a mistake, although I agree that happens often. Once again, the mission statement is the foundation of the company and should be referenced when making any major decisions and when dealing with employees and when dealing with clients. Once again, the mission statement, at least in my opinion, is the foundation of the company. So, yeah.
So, again, another theory or learning, confirmation bias, which states that more often than not, people will seek out and interpret evidence and advice that are consistent with their own existing beliefs. and they will follow or believe in a leader that aligns with those beliefs more so than somebody else, or that leader will automatically have buy-in. Do you find that to be true?
Well, I believe, yeah, confirmation bias is something that we deal with on a regular basis in our industry, right? And as leaders, I think it's very important for us to recognize that that bias is there, and make a conscious effort to have an open mind, ears and eyes, of course, and recognize that there are multiple perspectives, and making sure that we don't utilize confirmation bias to make major decisions. And as a leader, utilizing confirmation bias, I think it would be a very narrow relationship, in that you would likely have employees that have a very similar whether it be personality, morals, ethics that you do. Based on that confirmation bias, you would stay focused on that particular person, or that personality trait, and it may limit the growth of the organization and the opportunity to expand. And obviously we all have blind spots, and recognizing that, but going back to confirmation bias, we see that often in that, I'll use as an example a particular investment, and so investments fall in and out of favor on a regular basis, and so quite often clients will look for confirmation bias to validate the sell of that investment, when ultimately, from a fundamental standpoint, the company may still represent a quality investment to continue to maintain, to hold, or to increase the position. However, something on the news may confirm their bias, which could give them some emotional obstacle that they have to overcome. So very familiar with confirmation bias, both from a leadership and a servant standpoint. Once again, definitely want to make sure that we make a conscious effort to recognize that, and not let that influence our decisions.
So it sounds like you've overcome some of your own biases.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but I definitely have opportunities to do so, right?
Okay, so another theory, role theory. Person finds value or lets their role define them, and has an impact on their attitude and what they believe about themselves.
So that's a really interesting concept. And a good friend of mine and I went on a road trip a few years back. And if I'm understanding correctly, what defines us, and what's interesting is quite often people define themselves by the role. So I'm in a leadership position, so I'm a leader, so that's how I define myself. And I do believe that to be true for the most part. In fact, the conversation that we have is, I hope that I don't define myself by the position that we have, or I have in this corporation, and I hope that's the same for you. I define myself by my relationship with Christ, I hope, and the desire to be a servant leader and serve the community, our clients, our employees, and I would hope that that's what defines me, not the role that I'm in. Now, with that said, the leadership position, it's a very slippery slope, where if you lose focus of that servitude, I guess, then all of a sudden it is, I want other people to serve me. And that happens from time to time, right? Where we have certain expectations, and those expectations aren't met. We pivot, and all of a sudden become very aggressive, and have to be reminded that I'm not defined by my role. I'm defined by once again, my relationship with Christ, and how I react and how I serve, and have to reset and go back into that position. But I guess it depends on who you talk to would determine in the day. So I may be defined by the role to that individual, or I may be defined by the relationship with Christ. But I do believe that it is common for people to define themselves by the role that they are in within their employers or their business.
Or being a grandparent.
Oh, true. Yeah. Depending on the day. Yeah, I define myself as a fisherman, a hunter, a grandparent, a husband, a business owner. Yeah.
So in leadership, and you've been a leader for a long time, in both your previous employer and obviously financial advisor the last 16 years. as a leader, you have to be on your game, so to speak, or you need to be high energy and be there for your staff and put on your game face every single time. Knowing that we all have days, I guess two-part question. One, do you believe that you'll have to come in and be on your game every single day? And two, if you do believe that and you have a day that you're like, just not feeling it, how do you overcome that?
Good question. And yes, I do believe that as a leader, you need to be on your game 100% of the time. And for those days that you aren't on your game, then if you have the flexibility to take a break, because I believe that that's a sign that says, okay, now I need a break. I need to reset. I need to decompress so that I can be on my game, so that I don't become overly exhausted. But with that said, there are times where that's not an option, so it takes a conscious effort to go in and be at that level of energy and influence, and to help lead the group and maintain that culture. Now, with that said, I only hire people that know me very well, so we are allowed to have moments of I'll call it real, if you will, where not everybody has a perfect day, and that's quite all right. But once again, there are times where you really have to make that conscious effort, and it's tough. It's really tough, and we've had conversations coming into the office where we go into the office, our attitude may be off slightly, and both of us have to reset that attitude as we walk in the door with a smile on our face, so that our employees don't recognize that we may have had a conversation on the way into the office that may not have been a productive conversation to the staff. Yeah, and likely it's that somebody cut me off on the freeway, and of course I had a few words to say about that. But other than that, yeah, agreed.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you can walk in the door and fake it till you make it. Does it ever truly turn it around and you feel that positive energy as the day goes on? Or is it just exhausting? You can be there for your employees and have to reset when you get in the car on the way home.
Well, good call. Fake it till you make it. Great question. And actually, I don't believe that. So I'm very forgiving quickly. But with that said, a private prayer, remembering who's in charge, and then starting over, I actually can. But I don't think I'm faking it. I think I let things go pretty quick. But with that said, I don't know that I guess technically I'm faking it, right? Because I walk in with a smile on my face, where that may not be what I'm thinking, but it's always temporary. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for letting me interview you. I know we live together, work together, play together, but it's always interesting to hear your side of leadership, and I always learn from you. So thank you.
You're welcome.